Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with the Battle Report. So we go to Game 2 of Adepticon 2016. I, of course, am playing the Beast Herd's army. This time I'm facing Empire of Sonnstahl. This, of course, is a 2,400 point tournament. The guy I'm playing, he goes by Angry Miguel on the Ninth Age forums. He's a top-notch player. We've played once before. It was a weird game because it got cut short, but I think we both agreed I probably won that. So woohoo, I'm 1-0 against him going into this game. I want to say on War Score, he's the top number one or two players in the U.S. right now. Now, sometimes that means he's just been in more tournaments, but obviously he's doing well at those tournaments. So he's a real solid player. I was excited to play against him. Yeah, and it was an interesting game, a real learning experience for the Beast Herds. So overall, the board looks like that. You can see that first off, I started doing something weird. Instead of deploying in the middle of the table, which is normally what you'd want to do with this list that I took, we were alternating units deploying, and then after about halfway through, he just said screw it and put the rest of his army down. Well, what I decided to do when we were doing that was to go to the left because I saw that house and I saw his two big blocks, and I had this idea that I could use the house to move up on the left and overwhelm his knights and one block of infantry, and not have to deal with his whole army that he would be constrained with having that second block that couldn't really do a whole lot with the fight. So that's what I was thinking here, and that's why my army's on the left side. So moving on. On the left, you can't really see it in this picture because when I took the picture, he'd already vanguarded up, but on the left, he had a unit of 5 readers. Fast cav with heavy armor. Yeah. Then he's got a unit of Imperial cavalry, and with him he's got a knight commander. Now he's got the Sonnstahl, so that means that this guy has 4 attacks. They all automatically wound, and you get no armor saves. Now, one thing I didn't appreciate when I saw that in his list is that that is a perfect counter to getting charged by one chariot. So I was, I think when I saw the knights, I'm like, I can take a razor tusk chariot. He can't see anything from those on that hill, and he's not going to be able to do anything if I get a chariot up there. So if he steps on the hill, boom, I charge with the chariot. He might be steadfast, but I think a chariot like that would hold this unit up forever as long as I get the charge. Well, the problem is that knight commander, he can kill a chariot just like that. So that means I have to get a double charge with chariots if I want to use chariots against that unit. He's got a cannon, then he's got his war altar with his prelate on it. Big block of halberdiers. Behind it, he's got some militia. He's got 2 level 2s. They both have burning brightness and then other spells. Let's see, one of them had the shield, and one of them had the net of light. Then he's got a big horde of Imperial Guard with great weapons, and this has their let's see, this has his battle standard bearer in there. I can get a better picture here. There we go. Behind him, he's got his arcane engine with foreseen. Got another cannon. Got 5 more fast cav with heavy armor. And then over here. So my list is in the intro video. My deployment, as you can see, gargoyles on the left, razor tusk chariot, radiant chariot. Behind that is a razor tusk. To the right of it is another razor tusk chariot. Behind that is another radiant chariot. My big block of gore with my 3 characters in there. Got a beast lord, battle standard bearer, and level 3 Path of Wilderness, and then behind that, impassable terrain. And in this tournament, impassable terrain blocks line of sight as well as movement. I've got my Jabberwock. So the first thing now, yeah. So I really screwed this up. This game, oh, it was an uphill battle just from deployment. So, well, you'll see how it plays out later with the house and the 2 blocks of infantry and all that. But one thing that really screwed up was when you scout, and my gargoyles are scouting, I've got a second unit of gargoyles way over on the right-hand side. I also have a giant on the way to the right. I just didn't take a picture of it. Anyway, when you scout, you can't come within 18 inches of your opponent, but when you vanguard, you can come within 12 inches of them. When I put my scouts down, I really needed to move him in front of my line so he couldn't move his fast cav very close to me. Or if I could vanguard first, it really wouldn't be a problem. But my opponent won the roll to vanguard, and he put his readers up so that now this army, the whole concept of this army is to be able to vanguard all this stuff up. Now it can't vanguard, and it's just I just moved it over where you can see it. I mean, it's just awful, just absolutely horrid, awful. And then my opponent's going to get to go first, of course. We don't even roll for it because he deployed his whole army first. That was a rough start. So we go to Empire turn 1. So the battle standard bearer that's in with the Imperial Guard, he gets orders. He can give that unit, so it's an automatic ability every turn, and he gave them the +2 movement. So these guys, they instead of moving 4, they're moving 6, so they can march 12. These guys have no problem with movement. He moves his halberds up, looks like he's going to go in the house. I would kind of like that, actually, because if he gets in the house, it makes for an easy charge, and I know I can beat him. And or I think I can beat him. And so I kind of like that as a way of allowing me to get my main block up really close. Anyway, so overall things look like this. Things look like that. Here's the left. And we go to, I think this is magic. I think this is the bound spell off his arcane engine, whatever it was. He kills a gargoyle or two. Over here, a cannon shoots at this giant, does 4 wounds to him. Now 4 is the maximum he can do, so that's a little, anyway. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but he's like, he hits him, he wounds him, he does the max wounds. These guys shoot at him. I played the whole tournament as if the Giants had 5 wounds. They actually have 6. I don't know how many wounds the readers did. It doesn't matter. This giant was going to die very soon anyway, but he died. Turn 1, we move over to the left, and readers shoot at these gargoyles. They kill enough to cause a panic, and of course I panic off the board. My other giant, I didn't take a picture of it. He got shot, and he also took 4 wounds. So I'm like, man, you have 2 cannons. You hit with both of them, you wound with both of them, and you do max wounds with both of them. I'm down, for the most part, I'm down 2 giants and a unit of gargoyles already. Rough start for the beast herds. We go to beast herds turn 1. So if you look at the top middle, my ambushing unit comes on. Now, when I really get in the groove of the game, when I used to play chess, it was like this, and with Warhammer, it was like this, and now with Ninth Age, I think it is as well. But when I'm really in the groove, I play a lot by intuition. And so in a situation like this, my gut was telling me to put those ambushing wild horns further to the right, to where they would come up to the right of that other cannon. And then I was looking at it like, no, there's too many good things they can do here. When things are clicking with me, I listen to my gut's right. I listen to my gut, and in hindsight, I wish I would have done that. But where I put him here, I like it. They can charge the cannon. They threaten his militia unit with the spellcasters. They threaten a rear charge to his halberdiers. I just like the options. I like it a lot. In my magic phase, I put, you see how I've marked my wild horns with that red circle. I gave them the +D6 charge banner. So these guys have movement 5, and now they get an extra D6 to their charge. I'm hiding the 1 giant with 1 wound left behind the impassable terrain. It's not going to do a whole lot of good, because all he has to do is bring his fast cav on the right over to shoot at him, and he's just going to die. I thought I'd go ahead and protect my Jabberwock, because right now my opponent doesn't have many targets, and the Jabberwock would be an obvious one. So I'm hiding him. I figure he can hopefully do some good later, and I have him facing to the right, so if my opponent brings his fast cav up to shoot my giant, he's got to fear the Jabberwock. We're going to go back one, I'm sorry. If you look at the top right, I circled my Briar Beast. He came up in that forest. I had to keep him back a little bit because I didn't want it to be too easy of a charge for that arcane engine. I thought my opponent placed that very, very well. So he placed it such that he could shoot at my gargoyles. He could cast a spell at him, but he's also protecting. So if I pop up in the woods, yeah, he'll have dangerous terrain tests, but for the most part, he's just going to crush my Briar Beast. All right, so we go. Nothing else happened. I told you I did magic. I have no shooting. There was no combat. We go to Empire turn 2. I think my opponent at this point really was playing the game well. At this point, I'm looking at him like, I think you're just solidly outplaying me. This sucks. It actually doesn't. I like a well-played game. So he just takes his halberdiers and just turns around and walks and faces my incoming gore or wild horns. It was a little bit frustrating because I came on trying to position where I could hit the cannon, and now when he turned around and moved, I can't hit the cannon without hitting his halberdier, so I can't even do that, which was a little bit frustrating. Meanwhile, his Imperial Guard come around the building. So they offer a pretty easy charge for my wild horns. and it's a very, very tempting charge for me because I know those guys are brutal, but the fact that they go second, I like. The problem is they, I think during the magic phase he got some spells off that made them a little more brutal. If you look at the top right, his readers are facing my Briar Beast in the woods, and his Arcane Engine walked away from the Briar Beast. He didn't even try that charge. So I thought that was interesting because I think he actually had a fairly easy charge, and the dangerous terrain weren't going to kill him. And you look, he took his knights out from behind the woods, so where they can also help out possibly with my ambushing wild horns. So during the shooting phase, yeah, he shoots and kills the Briar Beast. Actually, I think that was magic. And in case I forget, I'm going to go back one. So I think what was going on here is I think of my Briar Beast in the forest, and I think I had my gargoyles behind him in the forest. And he killed the Briar Beast, and the gargoyles, he cast the Burning Brightness. Or no, he didn't. The Bound spell, which was also a Lord of Heaven's attribute. And if you see him later, he did it later in the game. At some point in the game, he cast that spell. The spell did 1 wound to him. The Lore attribute killed the rest of them. So anyway, so this is this is Beast Herd's turn 2. So yeah, I didn't charge my my ambushing gore into his halberds because I really think that was just going to get crushed. I think they have reroll. No, they don't. Anyway, they have some kind of buff on them, but it doesn't really matter. I figure I'm going to charge in there and just going to lose. So what I tried instead was to charge him in the rear with this unit. So when he turned around, that means that my main unit here would be charging him in the rear, which means we now have Swift Stride. So it looks like we're a long way away, but we're movement 5 with Swift Stride with plus D6 to the charge. That adds up where I needed just barely above average to get that. And if I had gotten that, I'm thinking, well, one, I'm going to crush the unit of halberdiers. When I certainly win combat, they're going to flee off the board because they'll bounce through my unit. I can reform and face those knights, and then my other unit of gore can position themselves to threaten everything else on the table. And I could turn just the sack of shit that this game has been for the Beast Herds and turn it around. And I, instead of rolling just above average, I didn't roll just below average, and it didn't work out. I don't think you should base your game plan, your strategy on a lucky roll like this. I wasn't. I've been poor playing myself into a corner, and this was one little glimmer of hope, and yeah, it didn't work. So we go to Empire turn 3, and yeah, the halberdiers charge my ambushing wild horns. His prelate on the war altar charges them. The knights really couldn't fit in with that cannon there, so he kind of moves them back around the hill. And let's see, I'd move my Jabberwock up because when I failed the charge, his Imperial Guard had an easy flank charge to my main unit, and so I parked my Jabberwock in front of them to redirect, and so they come into this guy. I think they're going to kill him pretty easily. He's got a breath weapon. He's got a few attacks, and he'll get his Thunder Stomp. So really, the most I can hope for is that he'll kill enough to make this unit more manageable. Right now, it's kind of tough. Although I still kind of like my my wild horns in there, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I'm thinking I should have just given up on the ambushing unit and taken my main unit into these guys. And I don't know. I just trust my wild horns. A lot of people in the forums don't like them. I think they pose the biggest threat on the table. I think they're just really solid. Anyway, this is not going to go well. This is not a good time to be a beastman, a beast herd guy right there. So of course he still has these cannons. At this point in the game, his cannons have yet to miss. They're just killing everything they shoot at. So the only good thing for me is the one on the right can't see much. But the one on the left is like, okay, take this chariot off the table. So losing to the chariot. I think this is the other. This guy could be seen by the other cannon, so he shoots it and hits it, and it only does 2 wounds. It's a miracle he didn't kill him. And yeah, so these guys, they charged the Jabberwock. I mean, there was a lot of things that could have happened there. Like he had to take a fear test. He gave himself the cold-blooded rule, where they get an extra die on their leadership test and can ignore it. The Jabberwock makes them -2 to their leadership. I'm hoping they fail their fear test. Then they're only hitting on 5s. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they passed everything. And then after they killed him, they overran and ran high enough to hit this guy. So everything, it's like, damn it. Like, I need a. I've painted myself into a corner. I need some little things to go for me, and nothing's going for me. Yeah, these guys crush the ambushing wild horns. They turn, and we go to beast herds turn 3. And at this point, I've given up on trying to do a whole lot over here. So I turn my main unit to see if I can trap this Imperial Guard and get those points. It's a fair amount of points there. I take my giant in. And my thinking there is that giant only, in my mind, only has 1 wound left. Actually has 2. It probably doesn't matter. There's still just a whole lot going on there. But the giant is so wonky that there's a chance he could roll that thing where, hey, you automatically win, your opponent can't swing and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that could happen there. And if it does, I just need that unit held in place. I need one of those 2 guys to survive. If they can get held in place, then I can charge them on my turn, and I like my odds there. If you look at the top left, I charge a chariot into his cannon. That's a razor test chariot, and should easily kill the cannon, and I'll get an overrun into the flank of his prelate on the war altar, which is nice. If you look on the left, I move a razor tusk up there to redirect those knights, because I just really don't want those knights marching up out of my line of sight and then lining up a charge on anything I have in the middle of the table. So I just need to keep him back there for a little bit longer. Yeah, so there's the giant. I mean, if he doesn't roll something well, then both these guys are going to die, no doubt about it. There's this, and hey, that went well for me. Excited about that. So I should have known this. I forgot the war altar stubborn. I play the damn army. Yeah, I should know this stuff. So it being stubborn, because I know I'm going to win combat, I think I can just break him, and then it's like, oh, he's stubborn. Yeah, that's right. Darn it. And over here, if you look, you can tell that there's quite a few Imperial Guard missing, so that's nice. The problem is, because I charged him with the giant, but because he overran, that means he charged into the razor tusk. So after combat, he was able to overrun, and now it's going to be his turn. So he can just reform, give his guys the 6-inch movement buff, where there's 6 instead of 4. He can reform and just walk right out of line of sight of my main unit. So that main unit is just sitting there doing nothing, which of course is exactly what he does. On the top left, his knights charge the razor tusk. Overall, you can see everything just right there. He kills the razor tusk and reforms so he can help out with the war altar. Yeah, we fought this on his turn, of course, and I got that guy down to 1 wound. I mean, I had a flank, I had a charge, I did however many wounds. Which is really lucky, because he has a good armor save, but of course these guys are really high strength on the charge. But then he's got a 4-up ward, and I think he just rolled a little bit under average and let some wounds through. So between impact hits and all that, he saved some, but not much, and for the most part, that was nicely done. But the question is, can I do 1 more wound on my next turn? Because if not, his knights are going to come in, and we're just toast. Beast Herds turn 4. So in his spell, he got the net of light off on my main unit, and that means I roll a die, and on a 5 or 6, I can't do anything. I can't charge, I can't reform, and he got the spell off, and then I rolled a 5. I'm like, darn it. That's getting a little bit old. So I can't do anything with my main unit. It's sitting there literally. I'm getting outmaneuvered by a horde of Imperial Guard. Are you freaking kidding me? I lined up with the chariots on the left. I was trying to get him to where, if he goes left, he gets hit by chariots. If he goes right, my main unit could hit him, and yeah, nothing's really working there. So then we go to combat, and this was just kind of wonky. The Razor Test Chariot does get the final wound off on the prelate with the war altar, kills it. I'm like, wow. And then his battle standard bearer is all the way on my side of the table. He's got no reroll, so he takes panic tests, and his halberdiers panic. And then they run through the arcane engine. It panics, and it runs. It's an inch away from being off the board. I need that thing to fail its rally so bad. Yeah, and these guys, well, I don't know if it'd matter anyway, but if his halberdiers don't rally, they might be in a situation where my main unit could charge him. Of course, if I charge him, he runs away. He's going to be pretty far away, but I'll be in his rear, so I get swift stride, blah, blah, blah. We go to Empire turn 5, And for whatever reason, the game's running a little bit long. I think at this point we both realize we're only going to get 5 turns in, and I don't know why that is. It seems in the review it seems like it's a pretty fast game. Um, anyway, so his knights charge my Razortest Chariot. His halberdiers rally. Darn it! His arcane engine rallies. Darn it! Oh, um, his Imperial Guard just turned around because my main unit is out of position because I couldn't reform, so he's safe, saving those points back there. Shoots at me, gets some wounds on a chariot, easily kills the Razortest Chariot. This is Empire turn. This is Beast Herd's turn 5. I know it's going to be my last turn, so I just reformed to cast a spell. I've got the Path of Wilderness Bolt Thrower. I'm hoping just to put a Bolt Thrower through these guys, cause a panic test, and send them off the board. That would be awesome. But of course, it didn't work, and the game ends like that. This was an absolute butt drudging of my Beast Herd's army. A couple reasons why I think. In hindsight, well, one, I think my opponent has outplayed me, and I am happy to lose a game when I get outplayed. This was a game where I've only played one game with this list, and this game was a great lesson for how to play the list, what things not to do. This is so at this end of this game, like I really wish I had had a few practice games with this list because it's kind of a different sort of list, and you can't do things like this. You can't paint yourself into a corner. You can't allow somebody to vanguard up and keep you from vanguarding. Things like that. So I think my opponent played his list. I like his list for an Empire Sonnstahl. I think this is the combined arms kind of thing that army should be doing. It's so much fun to play with and play against because it's not just skewed to one thing. I think he played it very well. I think I played my list very poorly. I forgive myself. Those things happen. You have bad games, especially when you're inexperienced with a certain build. But going into the next game, I was actually feeling better about it. I was thinking, okay, well, that was bad. He actually beat me 16-4, and then I had some bonus objectives, so I got 8 points. My opponent almost certainly got 22, I would think. I felt really fortunate to get 8 points out of this game, and it was just because my Razortest Chariot was able to kill his prelate on the war altar, which got me points for that. It got me got points for the general. That swung things a lot for me. So I felt very fortunate to have 8 points. 18 the first game, 8 the second. That puts me about middle of the pack, which isn't ideal, but it's certainly better than it could have been. So I was actually excited going into Game 3. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.